Welcome to Screw the Stock Market. On this show, we discuss a variety of alternative asset classes, tools to help you unleash your money, a success mindset, and inspiration to see what's possible when we do things differently.
Hi. Before we jump into the episode, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank you guys for being such avid listeners, and also to give you an opportunity to participate in various investment opportunities with Alex and I. Some of the same deals that we talk about will be offered to you so you can put to action what you've learned. Just go to screwthestockmarket.com and hit the Invest With Us button at the top of the page.
Hi everyone, welcome to Screw the Stock Market. Today we're doing another timeout episode. How's it going, Aziz?
Not too bad. Just getting off a holiday weekend, wishing we can go back.
Yeah, absolutely. For today, one of the episodes that we thought of, that this episode we would talk about this kind of heavy topic, given some stuff that just recently happened in my family. We're going to talk about death. Sadly, in my family, we just lost 2 family members in a car accident. And I went with my family over to the funerals and all this stuff. And we thought we'd just reflect a little bit and kind of talk about it. So it's a little bit of a heavier topic. We're going to keep it light. But the point is, I think for me, it's just coming out of all of it, I came away with a few different takeaways. First of all, starting with some of the positives that came out of this was I came out of it feeling a great sense of connection with this side of the family that I'd lost touch with over the last several years. And so it was cool, actually, to see these cousins who I used to see as teenagers, and now they're men, or now they're family people, and they have careers and all these different interests and all these things that have happened to them over the years. So it's really actually exciting and really fun to reconnect with all these people. And the sad part about it is that we had to wait until something like this happened to do that. So for me, that's one of the big takeaways, I'd say, is to really make an effort to do those things before there's some sort of tragedy. Or they always say funerals and weddings are like the big 2 that always bring family together. So I guess weddings first. One of the other...
Preferably.
Yeah, preferably. Yeah, they're more fun. There's cake. There was no food at these things. I don't know. Like my family, I don't go to a lot of funerals, but my family from Honduras that was there, they're like, there's no food here. That's part of the package that when you go to a funeral place. Because it was a marathon. We were there for hours, and we had to sneak out and go get food at local places nearby.
Yeah, see, in my culture, you are eating nonstop. Matter of fact, you get sick of the food because there's so much.
That's more like it. And I don't know, it made me think maybe we're the ones that are supposed to bring food, right? Because the other family, like his sons and stuff, they're mourning. They're like falling apart. So we're the ones that are supposed to bring, I don't know. But we didn't. I don't know the proper etiquette. Aziz.
That sounds like it's a failure on all parts. Yeah. I think it's a combination. I think the family will provide a little bit of food, but then I think in my culture, at least, the guests also bring a ton of food as well. I know in the U.S. most of the time it's the that's provides the actual like grieving family members who lost the individual will provide food in the repast.
Okay. Yeah, Aziz will know that I'm not very good about knowing what the etiquette is in uncomfortable situations. It's a little inside joke.
We won't get into the examples.
That's rude. We should probably, I don't know how to put that into this in an appropriate way. Let's just leave it as an inside joke. Write us at info@screwthestockmarket.com if you want to know the story of that inside joke.
Yeah, we'll tell you the story in a more family-friendly environment.
Okay, so let's see. Other takeaways from this for me were, we all know, like on some level here, there's always a separation between the things that we know logically and then the things that we allow to really form us into action. And so we all know that someday, any day, we're going to die. It's a certainty. Everyone knows that here, but I think a lot of us don't accept it here in our hearts. And so we don't act as if someday we're going to die. With these family members, sadly, they hadn't prepared their wills. They hadn't prepared, well, actually, no, my one uncle did prepare his will, but still a lot of the other details were not in order. Something as simple as seeing his sons who just lost their dad, they're struggling with mourning, but then they had to deal with all the arrangements and all the stress of who gets what and what do we do now? What about the house? What about all? And these are just stressful questions for someone who's just lost their father to be dealing with. So it's to the greatest extent possible. We all know this is going to happen. And as responsible, proactive people, we should try to take as much action as possible to have that stuff in order. And
there's implications as well, like in terms of wealth building. If you don't plan accordingly for this, everything that you've worked so hard for to accumulate and establish for your family and for the future family members can instantly be taken away just through taxes and other things like that you didn't factor for and expenses associated with this whole process.
Yeah, and I guess that reminds us of the episode that we had with Scott Schweitzer several months ago, which was good. It was really enlightening. He talked about a bunch of different strategies for preservation of an estate. And I think the big takeaway from that is talk to someone like him, talk to an estate professional to be able to plan that. Because if you just leave it to chance, the government's going to get into it and take their chunk of it. And you didn't work this hard to give that money to the government. You want that to create a legacy. Yeah. And then not only that, but there's been cases, I've seen of cases where, you know, because an heir didn't have maybe $20,000, $30,000, they lost maybe $1 million estate just because they didn't have enough money to even go to a lawyer and file some sort of a procedure.
Probate.
Yeah. Which is tragic.
Yeah, going through probate is a pain.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we talked about during the Scott episode where, you know, creating a trust is critical because you can bypass a lot of that stuff. You don't have to deal with probate court. You don't have to go through all the expensive additional costs of getting an attorney and going through all the processes and whatnot. So it's a little bit smoother in terms of making sure that you can get your assets.
Some of the other big takeaways is, okay, so now that we have accepted that this is going to happen someday, hopefully it's in the distant future, but we want to be prepared because we never know when this could happen, would be the other part is to like try to do your part to make sure that it's in the distant future, right? So things like eating right, working out, wearing a seatbelt, all these basic things that can give you a better chance out there. And just these are basic things that I think a lot of us postpone or we leave to later. And so even, I know I'm guilty of, I'll start working out next week. And I'll start working out next week. I'll start. And time goes by.
You can't even claim guilt on that because you work out more than I do.
I do, but I always postpone it. I always like, And so I work out, but then I'll fall off the wagon. And so, I don't know. For me, there is some of this procrastination of all the things that we should be doing. And I don't know. For me, that was one of the other ones because these two uncles, sadly, they weren't wearing their seatbelt. And so it was, when you have people who are depending on you, you got to do your part to protect yourself. And I know that's something for me, like now that I'm a father, I do find myself being a little bit more risk averse in terms of the things that I do, right? Like I'll drive a little bit slower. I'll make sure to just, the stakes are a little bit higher. So I definitely try to be a little bit more careful because there's people depending on me.
Which is crazy because I remember just a couple of years ago, back in our youth, jumping out of planes, sleeping in the middle of the desert and like in Egypt, or leaving your friend to be eaten by rats. Jerk.
I think they were going to eat you. I just thought like you were sleeping so soundly. I was like, oh, okay.
Surrounded by rats.
I didn't want to wake you up.
That is one time you wake somebody.
I apologize, okay?
But that's okay. Still love you.
Likewise, man. Oh, that's another one. Tell the people that you love, tell them that you love them. End things on a good note. This is a real story, right? With both of these uncles, my father had, with one of them, I think they had a little bit of conflict in recent years. And it was really actually a really cool story. My dad went and had lunch with him in January. And they reconciled and just had a nice meal together and like left it in the past. And then this happened, right? And now he's gone. But I'm like super thankful that my dad was able to be at peace with him before he was gone. So it's like another reminder for all of us to just, it would have been that much more painful if they had still been in conflict when this happened. All that kind of drama and conflict that we have, I don't know, hopefully this can put it into perspective for us to.
Yeah, it's meaningless in the long run.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know, is there anything else having to do with the certainty of death that we should touch on related to investment, related to
I think it's one of those things, it just puts everything into perspective. I think that health part was also something like taking care of yourself, I think is a function that a lot of people forget. Because, like, a lot of times when you look at what's being coached out there and espoused in terms of becoming successful, it's this hustle culture. And yeah, you got to work hard and you got to hustle to get to where you need to, but it has to be within a balance. If you're not taking care of yourself, whether it's your mental health or your physical health, you're not going to last long. And if you're not going to be able to last long, what good are you going to be to the people around you that are depending on you and who you're trying to do all of these things for? So I think, yeah, I think that's one critical aspect. It's actually valuing yourself, your health, your well-being, as much as you're evaluating your wealth journey and your goals and the reason for why you're doing these things. Be there because, you know, you want to live a more comfortable life or because you want to provide for your family. You also have to be a priority in that process as well.
Yeah, that reminds me. You said something in one of these recent episodes about how, like, you and I both are not necessarily all about money. This is a show about business, about money, about wealth, but it's not really why. Like, really,
Yeah.
it's about the kind of life we want to live. It's about our families. It's about that kind of stuff. And this was also another point that I think we should come back to is, like, life is short and enjoy it and spend the time with the loved ones that you have while you can because you never know. And
Yeah, that's fundamentally our why. Left to our own devices, good as I do, that we'd be content just laying in a hammock, just scratching our ass, just hanging out all day. With no cares in the world. But it's because we care about other people and we want to make sure that create the best for them. That's our drive. It's our motivation.
that's about it, man. Yeah. I don't know. It was definitely like an emotional thing. Like, I think in the last, with these uncles, with some other friends who've lost close family recently, and even here I have a very close neighbor who just passed away. So I just feel like, you know, there's something as an immigrant, right? Like, I know, like, life here in the U.S. with all the safety measures and everything, it just feels, I think it's like a false sense of safety. It feels like death is far away and it feels like it doesn't happen as often as it does in my country of origin. Like, I feel like it's very common over there where people just die. And
Yeah.
and in reality, it's common here too, right? Everyone dies. It's just, it feels safer. And
Is it that it feels safer or that people are just so busy and constantly kept busy, they don't even have time to think about it? That's like a future problem. I got today problems.
yeah, that might be it. That might be it. And I think that really connects back to the investing mindset too, right? Is the I don't know, you see all these investment gurus and they're always like, oh, just live off of 25% of your salary and invest the rest. For most of us, like, it's hard to live off of that much, right? Like, life itself is expensive. And so
Yeah.
it's this weird balance.
Yeah. $7 eggs.
And connecting back to this topic is just, I don't know, it's a weird balance because on the one hand, life is short, enjoy it, make the most of it with the time that you have with the people. But you also want to think long term and think, okay, what are the things that I can do today that are delaying my gratification so that I can have something better in the future?
Right.
And you have to somehow do a little bit of both. And I guess the last point that might relate to this is, if you're going to die at the end, you're going to be dead anyway. So this might give us a little bit of courage towards the risk. And the scary part of investing is, well, at the end, you're going to die anyway. So go for it.
What you got to lose.
Go for it. Take the chance and make the investment. Take the chance and take the leap of faith on yourself and go for what you want. Because at the end, you know the end of the story anyway.
Yeah. Very true.
Anyways, you think that's a good episode?
Yeah, let's end it on a positive note there. That was good.
Okay. So you're going to die, so go for it. Is that it?
Yeah, you got nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose.
Yeah,
Okay.
No
Is that
regrets.
positive enough?
that's positive. I think that's
Okay.
good. I think people will like that. People, you let us know.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Next week, we'll have another episode. So, again, we're excited about what we're doing here. We're trying to keep it eclectic with these timeout episodes where you can hear more a little bit from us. And then we're always really excited to bring on the experts and all these other folks who've done such a variety of different topics, who've done a bunch of different things. on the show to inspire us, to guide us on different asset classes and all that stuff. But we are really passionate about what we're doing here, and we hope that rubs off on you a little bit. Thanks for tuning in.
And don't forget, if you're interested in investing with us, check out our website at screwedstockmarket.com. There's the big blue button at the top that says invest with us. So join our team, join our club. Let's make some money together.